So hey friends, welcome to this week's video. We are going to be looking at something that I've been testing out for the past couple of weeks in the Sony LinkBuds. These came out mid last month and there's been a lot of hype around them in terms of innovation and just striking looks and all that sort of stuff. So I did want to make sure I got myself a pair and see what the hype is all about and see if any of it's justified. So let's get into the specifications and then we'll get to see if I like these guys. Sony's new LinkBuds are a set of open-back earbuds. Yeah, open-back earbuds. That's weird for me too, trust me. As a part of Sony's environmental initiatives, the packaging contains no plastic and uses a lot of cardboard and paper housing. And the entire headphone, from case to earbuds, is made up of recycled plastic materials salvaged from automobiles. It gives the whole kit a nice hand feel and makes the opening process a lot more pleasant and coherent, with less plastic packaging. From a product's perspective, the LinkBuds are a very striking design by looking just strange as f***. Sony enlisted a very bulbous design aesthetic inside and out of these LinkBuds. It's definitely not offending with all the round edges, but you will notice that they do feel bigger in pocket when toting these around. Sony also employs a matte finish that both improves the hand feel and it also gives it a more natural look than it would shiny plastic. Starting with the case, it gives you 12 additional hours and there's a quick charge that will let you top this up for 10 minutes to give you 90 minutes playback. The back of the case has your USB-C charging with a sync button, but there's noticeable omission of wireless charging on this unit. The front of the case has the indicator light to help you with pairing modes and battery levels, and will also give you access to your earbuds using that button. This is a mechanical mechanism and has no magnets, which is a throwback for me. As a result, the one-hand operation of these earbuds isn't the greatest, and the lid is a little bit finicky. Moving on to the earbuds, they are mostly plastic with no audio tips and silicone wings for security. They'll give you about 5.5 hours for music and 2.5 hours for calls, but in my testing, these LinkBuds showed short of those metrics. I understand that these LinkBuds are not supposed to have ANC, however, I would expect better battery life out of these when ANC competitors can beat their metrics with ANC turned off. One last thing I want to mention with these earbuds is they do have magnets, but they're not the strongest. Sony has compensated this by having snugger housing that gives a nice audible click for security. Shouldn't have any issues with earbuds flying around once these are set into place. These LinkBuds use Sony's industry-leading headphones app, which gives you a ton of options from equalization to speak-to-chat and connection quality settings. Going into your system settings will allow you to change your gestures and activate customization features like wide tap area, ear recognition for on and off, and more. What I really want to focus on here are the gesture options due to some weird omissions and some cool additions. The controls available are double tap and triple tap, yet no single tap. Why? I feel like that's the easiest thing to program, but maybe they're worried about accidental operation with the bulbous nature of these buds. Moving on to gesture customization, you can choose preset function templates for each bud, but I'm baffled why Sony keeps boxing us in and doesn't allow us to choose the mapping for each gesture. Sennheiser lets us do that, just saying. Okay, so currently there is a wide tap feature that we need to dive into. And I couldn't just use my head without you guys hearing this because, I could just finagle that and the reliability wouldn't be seen. So I'm going to bring out the Here's mic and I'm pretty sure it'll still work with the apparatus that I have here because it replicates sort of that connection. I'm pretty sure it uses haptics. So like even when the vibration of your skin is tapped, it can still register that as a tap or a single tap or a double tap or a triple tap. Currently my controls are all playback, so play, pause, and change track, and on this side it's always change track. But again, if you have Google Assistant or volume or something like that, that can also be used in your gestures as we talked about. The big thing that I'm going to say here is I'm going to record this, but I'm not going to be talking after this, so I don't have contradicting microphones, but we will be testing this wide tap right now.
Now here I am standing in front of a judge pleading for just a little longer so that I can prove to you I can support a little child that doesn't weigh quite 20 pounds.
From a fit and comfort perspective, we have to talk about how strangely sleek but annoying these are. In ear, they feel very non-intrusive, and despite how strange they look pretty inconspicuous on head. They're very sleek and are very not noticeable when looking straight on. From the side view, they are pretty small and the round aesthetic looks rather nice in ear. However, when we're talking about security, this is when I'm starting to have issues. With no ear tips for a seal, Sony has opted for these silicone wings to help fill in the ear and build that secure fit. However, I feel like these silicone wings are not hard enough to build that rigid structure that is needed, and they move around a lot as a result. I've tried all different wing sizes and a ton of different angles, both suggested and not suggested, and nothing quite guarantees the fit that I would need for these to be used, especially when these earbuds are targeted towards people who want ambient sound. I'm guessing those people are outdoors. I'm guessing those people are more active. So it's a really big concern here. So as we start, you'll see here, I'm going to do a really short test on the actual ability to stay in your ear. I'm gonna shake my head a ton. So bear with me, but you'll see it on my face. I'm scared to do this, and I had a justification for why. Yeah, so definitely no peace of mind with these ones. I'm always scared of these outside, so granted, I'm definitely not testing these out on the field for y'all. Just saying.
So yeah, walking around is actually really pleasant because you have full understanding of your surroundings, and it sounds pleasant because, yeah, free wind. So the comfort is very nice. You never have it really overheating, and yeah, I mean the biggest issue here is obviously fit. I'm a little bit worried of these things falling out of my ears, but yeah, it's nice. Hear dogs, can hear the rain, I can hear everything really clearly, and I still get my jams. So that's the best part of these headphones, at least so far. Definitely no complaints, but let's get some more ambient sound for later. So I'll give you guys some mic stuff. So here's a recording from an indoor perspective for these Sony LinkBuds. Hopefully this gives you a good understanding of what this would be like if you're, doing a conference at work, talking to friends in your room, things like that, where there's a little bit more controlled setting, no windows open, all that sort of stuff. What I will say is these might be Sony's best microphones. They actually have some depth to them. They sound relatively clear, and I really haven't had any issue with people hearing me. So on conferences, people were able to hear me very clearly. They did mention that it did sound a little bit more boomy than some other of the headsets that I've used in the past, and definitely better than my XM4s. Both the WF and WHs have worse mics than these. So if we learned anything here, Sony, take these microphones and put them on those other devices, because we definitely need them there. But if you need that, these mics sound good to me. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's take a sample outside to see if these hold up with wind and things like that. All right, so this is the outdoor sample of the Sony LinkBuds. It is a windy, rainy day here in Boston, so literally no one is in the park. So I'm going to walk over to the street and see if I can get a little bit of traffic noise, but you guys can tell me this is coming in clear with all this weather sort of hitting my ear. Obviously, with these being over-ear earbuds, open-ear earbuds, I can hear everything. I can hear all that wind come through my ear and all that sort of stuff. It's also sort of affecting my fit because with the rain, it's starting to slip out, not going to lie. But I'm coming closer to the car, so you guys can tell me if you are able to hear the street noise in this and if I'm still discernible in terms of my voice. Is it as clear as inside? I haven't been able to scrub and check on this, but let me know. It would be good to get a validation from y'all. But yeah, that should be the end of our little outdoor adventure.
So from a sound perspective, let's talk about some of the technicals here. We're working with a 12mm driver, which is on the upper end of what you would see in true wireless headphones. The AirPods are 11mm and the Master Dynamics are 9mm driver. So usually bigger drivers means bigger sound. And that's a little bit cool, but from my perspective, the shape of these things, I can't really discern where that 12 millimeters comes from. You have this big donut, and there's not really a driver focus. Like, it doesn't focus like the cone that you would have on a non-OpenEar headphone. So I don't know exactly how to discern that. That's just my struggle. So there might be some fluff millimeters in there. I'm just not certain. From a support perspective, you know, you have size of driver, but you need to be able to support for your lossless and more high quality sources. This is not a headphone that does that. So if you are on Amazon Music, you're on Deezer, or you're on Tidal, or any of those more lossless sources, you're not gonna be able to unlock that full track potential from these headphones because they don't support those more advanced codecs like aptX HD, aptX Adaptive, LDAC, you know, all those that are really essential for getting that high quality sound. This only supports AAC and SPC, which are super standard, been there forever. They're the baseline, but not what we would want out of a headphone that costs this much. They do have Sony's DSEE, which helps fill in the gaps a little bit and gives you a fuller sound, but it's really in compensation for its lack of support for some of those better quality music sources, which sucks. So as we talk about that, you know, there's a few knocks there already. As we talk about volume, it's for the most part, especially on the uppers, it's fine. You know, it's generally loud enough where you can sort of like make things harder to hear from the outside. But you know, certain vocalists that are very high or powerful, you may need to tune that volume down a little bit because it would get harsh. And then on the low end, that's kind of where you see things lacking punch, lacking control. So I think that's like where I see like there's not enough detail or enough power behind it to bring out the detail of the mids and sub bass and bass that you would want to look at. So not only does the frequency bottom out, but you know, there's just not that power there that allows it. So you're finding yourself bumping up the volume just to try to hear those details, especially if you're very familiar with a song. Which kind of comes down to, what is this headphone good for in terms of music genres? And to me, it's EDM and electronic music, things that have higher pitched instruments, things that have, you know, non-consistent bass drops or very powerful bass lines. You know, that sort of stuff. Ethereal EDM that's like, you know, Chainsmoker, like mainstream EDM, that will all sound very, very good on it. House music may not sound good on it, because once you start going into like the mids and you're trying to go with genres like rock and hip hop that have more nuanced mids and a lot more complex bass, a lot deeper and more use of bass, that's when you hear all that mud and that gross stuff. You hear it out of control. You hear it wobbly. It just doesn't punch. And I get it. It's an open-ear headphone. It's not going to have that insulated nature of the earbud to replicate that same punch and power. However, these sound emaciated, extremely emaciated on drums, on bass, on a lot of different instruments on the low end, and you're going to be missing sort of that power in the song. So if you are using this for workouts, like somehow fits your ear without falling out, all that sort of stuff, you're going to be missing some of that punch that will help motivate you through that workout. So that's sort of the things that I've noticed. So like, I think Blitzed So Close and Say So by PJ Morton and JoJo, they both have bass lines that come in and they sound extremely bad. So like the Blitzed one just sounds terrible throughout. It's really messy. The PJ Morton song, it's fine with the vocals. Like, vocalists are great. But once it starts bringing in the synthesizer, that's where I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that? That's so bad. And it's sort of things that you notice when you listen to this more. So I'm trying to look at some of my examples here. Oh, the big band stuff. So like things like Brendan Urie. I think that's a really good example. Like, he has a wonderful voice. It's replicated really nicely on these headphones. But like something like Death of a Bachelor, like, you know, it starts off very soft, very middle of the range sort of strings, but then it goes into like a big band portion where like there's more horns and there's more percussive elements and a lot of different things layered on there, and they're all powerful. That's when they almost overloads these headphones, and it just lacks a lot of that accuracy that you would want. So it just sounds very messy. It doesn't have that precision that you'd like, so the song gets tainted as a result. And it's the same thing with things like brass tracks, which all of their instruments are brass, and you know, if it's just a couple instruments, it's fine. It isolates them all right. But once they get into the big band portions, when all the instruments are playing at once, you lose it all. It just loses all of its fun. It loses all of its granularity. It loses all the separation, and it just becomes this vomity mess of instruments that doesn't sound all that great. So if you're into EDM and things like that, these might be okay with you. Obviously, there's other headphones out there that hit that, but I have some samples here that I think that you guys can listen to, and it's maybe not the most ideal thing, but it's copyright free, so I won't get copyrighted. The thing that I will tell you is that because of the shape of these headphones, it was really hard to get it into my hearers mic. So there might be some tinniness that you hear, not fullness that is inaccurate to what the signature sounds like. So I'm going to do my best to get a fit here, but because it doesn't have any sort of seal, you know, things leak and I can't get a good representation of how they actually sound in the ear. But I figure this is better than nothing, so bear with me, but here are the sound samples.
Now here I am standing in front of a judge pleading for just a little longer so that I can prove to you I can support a little child that doesn't weigh quite 20 pounds.
While I do appreciate Sony trying to expand their offering and push the boundaries on design a bit, that's not something justified here where I can actually recommend these guys. The problem is obviously, as you just saw, is sound is not very, very punchy. It doesn't have any redeeming qualities for it, and they really handicap us with what codecs they've provided us. It's really unfortunate, and we're not going to get really great sound, especially if you're used to some of Sony's other offerings that have good sound. Not the greatest sound, but definitely reliable, punchy, still deep sound that you can appreciate that you don't get out of these. And I get it, there's some nature of the beast with these ones, with the design and them being open back. However, these just don't have good sound in general, to me at least. I feel like they miss a bunch in the bass, and I don't think a lot of people will have fun with that experience. And that also comes down to fit, is that these, because they're open back, they didn't use any sort of silicone for fittings, and as a result, it just doesn't fit everybody's ears. As you saw in my fit test, like, they fell out extremely easy, and I think that's gonna be a problem for a lot of people, especially for people that would be using this, like bikers and people who are running, who want that sort of spatial awareness and see what's in their environment and understand what's around them so they can be safe. You're not gonna be safe if you're constantly juggling these around and worried about them falling out. So it's kind of a moot point with that. It would have been cool if these worked better, but I think there's just too much, like, sort of demerits there that it's not something justified at this price range, or any price range, really. I understand that there is a niche need for this, but a lot of like closed back headphones do this through transparency mode, and I would feel like a lot of people would appreciate that, because that gives you the ability to zap out your sound with ANC, and it also gives you the ability to hear your surroundings. While it may not be as natural as these, it definitely enhances it, so you can use those mics to hear your surroundings, and in some headphones you might be able to hear your surroundings better. So the benefit of this is very, very minimal. So I think the thing I'm frustrated most about this is that, you know, like, iJustine and all these other people are saying that this is innovative and like groundbreaking and all this other sort of stuff. It just ends up being a marketing play. As much as I would love to get the bag for promoting headphones, I don't think I'm ever going to get to a point where I would be able to recommend these. So interesting if you want to check them out. They're closer to head than I thought they would be. I just don't think that you're going to be very pleased with it in your everyday life. So an easy skip from me. But other than that, that's the review. So if you guys have any questions, definitely leave it in the comments. In terms of my schedule coming up, I am going to be trying to go through this extremely fast, like every 2 or 3 days review cycle, to just get through all the snow gear that I need to go through. Jackets, helmets, goggles, bags, stuff that has to relate to the snow season before the snow season ends. So I'm going to try to pick that all into March and see how far I get. So you guys are going to see content extremely quickly if I can keep things rattled, but it's probably going to be less produced, less b-roll, a lot more conversational, and me just touring the product in front of you. So if you're down with that, definitely check it, because that'll be coming up. After that cycle, I will be going back to headphones, so I'll be going to the Gravstar Sirius headphones, as well as the Grell TW1, so back to earbuds, and then we have some other things like the Panda updates and the Audi's Mobius headphones as well. So if you're looking for headphone stuff, that'll be coming shortly. I just got to get through this snow run first. If you wouldn't mind, if you could follow me on my Instagram, I did start one for this channel. It's called Utmostcoin YT on Instagram, where I'm going to be putting all my shorts, some of my back behind the scenes stuff of me like shooting things, reminders around the videos that are coming out, and a bunch of other content that you don't see necessarily on this channel. Just, you know, so I'm covering all my bases. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, but the Instagram was always just missing because I didn't want to use my personal for it. So now that channel's up and you guys can follow that. But if you did like this video, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all the things that you normally do on a video that you like and love. Thank you guys so much for helping with the growth of the channel. We are at around 1,300 subs and it's going well. So yeah, as always, I appreciate you. Peace.